right, folks. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Look at all of you. Hello. Hi, Lorraine. Hey, Manon. See some regulars. Hi, guys. Come on in. Welcome. Hey, Mitch. Nice to see you. All right. We'll give everyone one more minute to show up and then we'll get started. I'm Julie deBoer and David is here. Oh, I've heard up a few of you. Isabel, hi Isabel and Terry. I feel like I'm in the romper room, holding up my little, I see Denise, I see Patty. Just dated myself, I think. All right, well, let's get started. So welcome everyone. Welcome to Mastrius. I'm Julie deBoer. If you haven't met me yet, it's my pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm an artist and one of the founders. And today we're doing an AMA, which is an Ask Me Anything. And in this case, it's an Ask Us Anything with David Langevin. And the reason why we're doing it a little different this time, because normally we do a webinar once a week, but we wanted to be a little bit more interactive, a little bit more face-to-face with you. We want to give more of a taste of what we do at Mastrius, which is very much face-to-face, very interactive and relationship based, and you don't really capture that as much in a webinar. So we wanted to change things up a bit. So feel free to turn on your video. You don't have to. If you have a question that comes up at any point, you've probably come with some questions. You can either pop those in the chat or you're welcome to turn on your microphone and ask. And then if you're not using your microphone, you can turn it off just in case there's background sound. Let me just go through my list, make sure I don't miss anything. So yeah, the Mastrius is all about mentorship. That's what we do, which is a little bit more organic and hard to define than, say, a workshop or a course. David and I go not way back, but about 7 years back, where I met him for the first time at a workshop in Alberta. And many of you have heard this story, but it's kind of the impetus to why Mastrius was created, because he became kind of an unofficial mentor, which was very unexpected. You normally go to a workshop and you leave and never hear from the instructor again, but we stayed in touch, and that relationship really was a boon to my career, my confidence. Learning his technique completely transformed the way I was painting. So the impact was massive. But it was really hard won, right? And so what we're doing at Mastrius is making that experience, relationship, that access to masters like David accessible, easy to find, comfortable. You can do it from your studio. We do it in small groups, so it's still intimate, but not one-on-one. Anyways, so that's part of what we're doing at Mastrius and why we're doing this AMA as well. Again, so if you've been at our events before, I usually stick around after the event for people who aren't members who might want to learn more about our community, learn how you can work with David or another one of our mentors, whom we happen to have one here. Mitchell Albala is here from Seattle. He's one of our masters as well, a very well-respected best-selling author and artist. We have the best artists in the world, I'm so proud to say. Anyways, I'll stick around afterwards. I'm going to give away a recording library membership to a non-member after the event if you stick around for my little chat. And at the end of the event, before you all go, I'm going to give away a t-shirt, super cozy, so don't rush off at the end. One thing I should mention too is Mastrius members get 20% off art supplies at Try Art, which is our trusted partner, and they are although they're based in Canada, but they ship globally. And actually, David is one of their, I don't know what we call you, David. You're not a rep, but you're like a...
No. I don't know what, affiliate? I don't know.
You're a Try Art artist anyways. So you use Try Art paints, you vouch for them, you tested their products, and you stand behind them. Yeah.
All that stuff, yeah.
stuff. And so they're a trusted partner at of Mastrius as well. They're phenomenal people. They produce phenomenal products, and Mastrius members get 20% off. So one of the many perks of being a member.
It's a good.
Yeah. And what else? I talked about the chat. Again, I'm Julie deBoer. I'm an artist. If you haven't met me, I'm in Western Canada in Alberta. I do these whimsical acrylic paintings. And then there's David. Let's talk about him. David's from Kamloops, BC, Western Canada. Also, he's a globally celebrated artist. His work embodies a fusion of classical painting and the essence of the Canadian wilderness. And he's well known for being a modern day old master. Impeccable work. The light and vibrancy is outstanding, as you can see. He has a wealth of research and education behind his practice, which makes him a very popular teacher, instructor, and mentor. He's in high demand. His groups are always full at Mastrius. And you'll find David is also a candid and generous mentor, always wanting the best for his mentees. And I'm so happy to be one of those people. And I'll put a little plug in. We're doing a show together in July in Invermere, BC. I'm so
Yay.
excited. July 6th. Anyway, so that's
Mentee, is that a thing? Is that like a real word?
it's a real word.
Mentee?
Yeah, mentee. Well, we've made it one because we keep using it. It's all over the website.
I like minion better.
Minion.
But nah.
Minion. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so let's dive in. I see you guys using the chat. Thank you. And if you have a question, feel free to turn on your microphone and ask or pop it in the chat. And while we wait for that, I have a question for you, David. What do you use for you used to use GAC made by Golden. Is there a tri-art product that's equivalent that you use to do glazes and veils?
Yeah, for my acrylics, I didn't really care for using regular gloss medium like the one Golden makes because I found it too heavy and sticky and not very self-leveling. And I like my glazes and veils to be smooth and glide on nicely. So I was using a combination of the GAC or GAC 100 and 500, which you can use for glazing. So I would mix them together, which gave me the properties that I liked.
Yeah.
And then I did discover a product made by a tri-art that has the same properties that I like about that mixture. So I've been using that.
What's that one called?
Hang on.
Stumped him already, folks.
Right.
Huh? So I use the same, his glazing and veils. That whole old master technique is phenomenal for vibrant and light. Okay.
They do make a few gloss mediums, but that's the you can see I use a lot of it.
Wow.
It's called glazing medium gloss. It's lovely. Well, I like it.
And you don't mix it with anything else, just straight up?
No, I do not mix it with anything else.
Okay, sweet. I might give it a try.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, and of course, like we talked about, like for Canadians in particular, tri-art is a really good price point compared to something like gold.
Yep, it is.
Yeah, and then with the 20% discount, it's kind of a no-brainer. I'm not going to use the GAC right now.
Yeah, it's almost, I feel like we're stealing from them. It's such a good
Stealing
deal.
business, yeah. They're not going to suffer too much.
No, they're doing okay.
Yeah.
We actually met with Evan today. They just moved into a new warehouse, so they're doing good.
Yeah, I heard that.
All right. So first question is, I think, from Mitch. Question for David. In many of your paintings, you use a wide range of colors from different parts of the spectrum. Is it possible to say what your method is for using that many different colors, but still maintaining a nice overall harmony?
Oh, good grief. Is it possible? Yes. Um, is that good enough for an answer?
No.
Love it. Like his buffalo, right? The buffalo has almost all the colors of the rainbow in it, but it still looks like a mean old buffalo or bison or
I
whatever.
mean, to me, that's the ultimate challenge, a wide variety of colors, but yet they all glue together. And
Yeah.
I think the more colors you use, the harder it is to get them to glue together. So I want to know how you do it.
That's a good point. Yes.
You know
Yeah,
how
the more colors you use, the harder it is to keep it together. Yes, and right. And so one of the things that I always do, as you know, and you can see Julie's paintings in the background there, and she's starting with a red glaze over the entire surface. So that always helps to pull everything together because I paint in layers and because the underpainting shows through in varying amounts all through the painting. So that sort of ties everything together quite well.
enjoying the video? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when new Mastrius videos are added. So here's an example of,
Oh,
well, there's lots of
oh
them,
my
but
goodness.
like turquoise and purples and oranges and
Oh,
some,
that big nasty buffalo. Yeah,
I don't know if that one's yours.
it is not.
It's not okay. Ignore that one.
Ignore those artists.
Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, you kind of follow your instinct.
Yeah, that's the problem I have with and that's why in my like as you know, right, I've been teaching mentoring for a long time and I kind of don't do a lot of composition and color theory stuff anymore because I've forgotten it all mostly. And I just use whatever colors I like and like you say it by instinct I know how to make it work, so I don't really think about it.
But there's
That's
stuff like,
a very satisfying answer, I imagine, but
yeah, but if I look at it like on the bison, in the shadows you have pools like the turquoise and the purple, and then where the light is, you're gonna beef it up with oranges and yellows. And so there's some warm light, cool shadows. That's a principle we've learned at Masters, at least I've learned, right? Um, Mitchell, what do you think?
Um, I tend to kind of be a little bit academic about it. Like I have this thing, that I call color grouping, and David does it in some of his paintings where there's only two or three major color families, and that
yeah,
again, the fewer the families you have, the less chance of things being all over the place. But it's just kind of the way my color brain works. But I think about specifically how the colors relate in terms of temperature, whether the values are really strong or they're really mild, or whether it's a very high saturation painting or a low saturation painting. Uh, I kind of wish I was one of those painters that just went instinctually, but I have to, it has, yeah, like that's an example. It's just, well, see, there's predominant blue violet in that one.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
the other colors,
yeah,
I think they can make sense because they're not competing. They're singing, but they're not
yeah.
not taking over.
Everything underneath is green and blue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is,
That's a great answer. Thank you.
write it down, David, for next time.
Yeah, I remember that.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, color is tricky, and that's why I pare things down often, because I find I've got enough to work on. I don't need to worry about all these colors, but one day I hope to just do it intuitively. Um, Another question here. What are the characteristics of a good composition, and what do you strive for?
Oh crap! Another another one of those questions. I don't know.
I had to give you something to think about.
Oh, geez. Yeah, Mitchell.
Where's Mitch?
Well, again, I'm super academic about it, but
Good for you. Go for
I
it.
think whether you're going by instinct, and you're kind of winging it, or you're doing it like thinking about the rules and all that stuff, like I often do. It's going to be present in both compositions, but among the things that I think about are simplicity of focus, right? Not too complicated. That's I don't know if that really falls into composition. It's more like the spirit of the
Yeah.
picture. But I also think a lot about, and I'm sure David will jump right in and agree with this, that I think about large shapes versus small shapes. You know, how much dark versus how much light, the pacing and spacing between the elements. But for me, most of my compositional work happens in that first stage where I'm selecting from the wider world and coming in and just eliminating shapes and combining shapes, and simplifying is a big component for me, although it isn't necessarily for everybody.
Yeah.
I gotta say, like when we started having these conversations, it made me think about it, and then I was like, okay. But like I work out all my composition stuff before I start painting,
Mm-hmm.
and I only actually think about all of those academic things if something's not working.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I go by instinct, and I've just done thousands of paintings and blah blah blah, and so I don't think about it. I just compose, and then if something's not working, then I go, okay, what's the matter? Is it the rhythm? Is it the negative space? Is it the balance? The whatever, and then I'll sort of have to sort through the academic stuff. But yeah, y'all should go and get some composition uh, learned. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good stuff to learn.
it's
I
fantastic.
actually
It's like that, right? It's like color theory, composition, all that academic stuff. You definitely need to learn all that stuff so that you can forget it, because you want to forget it, right? Because painting for me is about being in the zone. I don't want to be thinking about stuff when I'm painting. I want to be channeling from what whatever that source is that creates through you. I just want to be dialed into that. So if I'm thinking, oh, doggone it, they told me not to use black, should I use this brush, or whatever. There's a rule of thirds or whatever it is. I don't want to do any of that. I remember a tennis coach. Like, I'm into the sports analogies because I like sports. I'm a jock, right? So and the coach said, the enemy of flow is thought.
Hmm,
I'm like, my God, it works for art too. It's perfect. It's true, right?
that's right. Yeah.
So that's my overall big picture answer to all of your composition and color theory questions. So we
So next topic.
next.
All right, next question. What top three things do you wish you knew when you first started that would be helpful to emerging artists? That's a good one. You got it.
Top three things I wish I had known.
Yeah.
That I wasn't going to learn what I needed to learn in art school. Oh, somebody would have told me that. That'd be great. And somebody would have told me that mentoring and finding master artists and learning from them is definitely the best and most efficient way. And I'm not just putting a plug in for Mastrius. That's absolutely
Here's your payment.
that's that's why I'm involved in the program too, because this is the best way to learn. So that's two things. Do I need to come up
Yeah,
with
one more.
for what?
For emerging artists, what you wish you knew when you were emerging.
Don't go to art school. Find find your master and hang with them. And I'll come back to that.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a third one that made a big for me.
Use black paint. That's a third one.
Well, all my
Black
favorite
one, too.
painters, all my favorite painters. Oh, I know what. Don't yes. Don't take any advice from any other artist.
Except your mentor. Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, maybe that's not the right way to phrase it. Yeah, maybe just don't listen to anybody that tells you what you should be doing.
Oh, okay. There's that should word.
Yeah. And I'd walk away from my mentor too if they were browbeating me like that. Okay, wrong mentor for me.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, next question for Julie. Do you always use the same red glaze before starting all your paintings? And do you let the background colors show through in your paintings? I think David uses different colors for the background. Yeah, actually, I saw that on one of your Instagram posts recently. You had a few paintings with different colors. I always use, this is actually primary magenta. I used to use an orange and then switch to magenta. And yes, you can see right through my paintings to the pink. You can actually see it in the sky, those kind of shapy things, the pink coming through. The pink creates, like I have a lot of orange actually in my paintings, but it's not with orange paint. It's just yellow glaze on top of the magenta. And that's David's technique that I learned 7 years ago when I first met him. Yeah. And then, yeah, David, you use a variety of underpainting colors. How do you choose?
Depends on what, I guess the simple answer is I know what I want the painting to look like when it's finished. So I just kind of think backwards through the layers and decide what color I want to be pulling it all together or showing through a little bit. What's behind this guy?
I'm gonna just share. Oh yeah, you got one there?
Well, that one started off blue. No, I'm sorry, it started off green.
Green. Oh yeah.
And then went blue and then went purple. Yeah.
So this is the post I saw on your Instagram. And so there's a yellow,
right.
more of an orangey, shades of orange. But you've also done like, yeah, blue background.
Blue, green, and purple. Yeah. My oranges and reds are my favorites. They work for most of my things, but sometimes I'll use green or purple or blue. Yeah. It depends on what I want the finished painting to reflect.
I did yellow once in a Doug Swinton workshop, and he yelled at me from across the room in front of everyone.
Oh, Doug's funny.
Yeah. Oh, it was funny. Cool. Okay, let's see. Next question. Questions for both of you. Do you have do's and don'ts for choosing a gallery to work with and for approaching them? And how many years have each of you been showing in galleries?
Oh, I sure do.
Yeah, David's got great advice. Although when he
Yeah.
says, yeah, but you have to take it with a grain of salt. I've learned. Fun story. So let's answer one question. Yes, do's and don'ts for choosing a gallery. How many years have you been with galleries, David?
30-ish.
And I've been about 11-ish or so. So I always call David when I get approached by a gallery and ask him what he thinks. So that's one way that I weed out galleries. But one thing he looks for, I don't like. So this is important. You need to know who you like to work with. But they generally want, if they know they can sell something, they're going to want more of that, right? And so you need to be a little bit prepared to know how to deal with that. And you might be okay with that and just keep producing what sells, but it does kind of suck the life out of you for some artists. I know for me, I get bored, and so I can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. So
Oh no, I have no problem saying no.
Yeah, except to me. But yeah, you're very good at saying no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to have good, strong boundaries and know what you want.
Yeah.
And then reference check, right? If you know someone in the gallery, call them up or send them an email.
Yeah, and I wouldn't do business like do's and don'ts. I want my gallery to have been around for at least 10 years and through at least one recession so that they know how to ride the waves. I want to know who's in the gallery as well and what their turnover rate is for artists. And I would talk to other artists that are in the gallery and have been in the gallery for long enough that they can give me some good feedback. So I would do all that stuff. the most important thing for me, and it took me a few years to learn this, but for me, my business is just like the rest of my life. I only want to be in relationship with people that I like, that I trust, and that feel the same way about me. People with integrity and courage and smart and virtuous and honest, and they like me and respect me, and I feel the same way about them. So basically it's a relationship. So I think about my galleries like that and my gallery owners like that. And so they're they're the kind of people I would go to dinner with and go bowling with. That
Yeah.
matters. That matters in the long run, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, anyway, because like I'm getting to that age where it's like I don't have time for crappy relationships.
Yeah. Well, none of us have time for it.
Yeah.
I actually went against advice once because I was kind of more starting out in a great gallery in a great location. And the question there was too is like, how do you approach them? I literally walked in and introduced myself after a hike with my family and kids. And they took me on right away, which was unexpected. But I kind of dared myself to do it, which is also how I went to David's workshop and became a friend and mentee of his, because I dared myself to talk to him after the workshop. So pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and being confident is very helpful, even if you don't feel confident. Anyways, so this gallery was taking me on, and then I kind of reference checked afterwards, and I was warned, do not work with them. They're terrible, all this stuff. And I checked with a few people, and the rumors were quite consistent. And within three years, I did leave. And not that I regret having worked with them, but it was not an easy 3 years. And yeah, so you need to be careful who you work with for sure.
Yeah.
All right, question for David. I was interested in your course about light and color. I work in soft pastels, so I'm wondering if that course would apply to me or help me. Thank you.
I had somebody at one of my live workshops that was a pastel artist, and they kind of liked it. I don't know that much. I know a little bit about how pastels work, but no, it's specifically geared to oils and acrylics, heavy body oil and acrylic, heavy body paints. I should say body paints, not heavy body paints. So watercolorists, yes. Even watercolor, oils and acrylics specifically, and watercolor people will get a lot out of it. Pastel, a lot of the theory, not theory, but a lot of the principles don't apply to. So I'll tell you.
Is that because you're teaching glazing the technique?
Well, I'm explaining how light affects color and our perception of color, and the principles of how the glazes and veils work, and yeah, and how those combinations affect the viewer's attention. So it's all that kind of academic stuff. But most of that stuff I just talked about does not apply to pastels, which are basically opaque.
Yeah, that's right. You need something.
I mean, you can see a little bit of stuff underneath, but yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
From Marie and Kamloops to both of you, do you ever get halfway through a painting, then find you don't want to continue with it? It's just not right. I'll let you go first.
No.
Oh, okay. Hey, you know. Thanks. Wow, first. Just kidding. Do I ever get halfway through and don't want to continue? So I think I have ADHD. So it's often that I get to a point and I don't want to continue. Often I love starting a painting and I love finishing a painting, and I find the middle can just be a lot of work.
That's what the minions are for, the apprentices. You got to
Yeah,
get them in there.
paints and minions.
That's
Ugh,
right. All the old master studios is like they wanted to start and finish and let the apprentices do the middle stuff.
no
Here,
kidding.
fill in this area here.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
have a new goal
It's a
for
good system.
2024.
Yeah.
Usually, if it's because Mary, if it's feeling like it's not right, I will stop. If there's a problem with the painting, I stop so that I can figure out what it is. And then, like David, I go through kind of the methodology of, okay, how is the value composition? I always start with value. So take a photo, put it into black and white, and look to see if things are balanced, if I can still read the painting well.
Good. That's a good trick. Yeah.
Yeah. And then other things, compositionally is something off. And then I solve the problem before I go too much farther. But if something's bugging me too, and I can't figure it out, I don't paint it. I'll put it in my living room and look at it for however long it takes. I used to have to look at it for 2 weeks, and now it takes 2 minutes. But you get faster at that.
Yeah, and you get better at that as you progress, and after a couple hundred paintings, the duds become less and less frequently.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully, right?
And if not, come
That's
to Matt.
painful. Yeah.
David, what is the key to how you blend colors so well? Is it mostly achieved by your use of the glazing medium?
Yes. Another easy one.
Well, and do you even blend? Like, do you do much blending on your palette?
No, almost none. So most of the color mixing happens in the layering technique.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily like wet on wet. Sometimes a little bit, maybe.
Sometimes like it's a traditional oil painting technique um, that all the old masters would paint into a wet glaze as a way of mixing and blending. I do that. Like with the bison paintings that I showed you. So I would like on the bison, I'd put down here, I'll show you that guy. So there's a blue glaze under the whole painting and then a purple glaze. And I painted into the wet purple glaze with all of these heavy body opaques and veils. And so that's kind of all of the mixing, quote unquote, would be done a la prima on the surface if there's any mixing, or they would be like Julie said before, where it would just be alternating glazes and veils that would create color. They're not mixed; they're separate, right? And each layer dries before the next one goes on, so they don't mix.
Yeah, that's the brilliant. It's like stained glass. You let it dry and then another layer of glass.
That's the key. That's the key to avoiding the mud. Yeah.
And getting all that vibrancy and light. It's amazing.
Yeah.
In general, are the galleries receptive to showcasing smaller artworks or always geared towards large canvases? Do they consider that smaller pieces sell more easily because they take up less wall space and cost less? Good question.
I think galleries, just like you and I, want to have a range of price points, so that you can access different buyers and have different revenue streams. You only ever paint big, then you're limiting your market to a certain demographic of people that have that kind of money. But if somebody can only afford a $500 or $800 painting or whatever, and you're able to produce those, I think it's a really good idea for artists to be that way. And all the galleries that I do business with, they operate like that because they understand that you need to. Sometimes somebody walks in and they want to, just throw something in their purse or in their pack sack, right? You aren't going to turn them away if you can sell them a funky little painting, like.
Yeah, our gallery in Vermeer, I do primarily large paintings and they ask me for small ones. So
yeah, Yeah.
definitely.
And it's a starter thing too, right? For buyers that are just getting familiar with you and want to see where you're going to go, and maybe they want to invest in you in the future. So they're not going to buy a big, large piece right away, but they're going to sort of start small and see where you go. And yeah, so you got to pull them in, pull them in early.
That's right. And that's why I do some small prints is yet another step, right?
Yeah.
Start with print and then work your way up to small original and
Yeah.
then baby steps.
I do those. I still do those tiny little tree paintings because my bigger tree paintings are quite expensive and they're special and everything. But I mean, I have a whole category of people that would love to have one of my paintings, and every time I make a collection of these little funky ones, I mean, they get gobbled right up.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to have a Langevin, and it's like a $400 piece, and so
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. We appreciate the little ones.
yeah.
Julie, watercolor is not as popular as oil and acrylic. Is there mentorship for watercolor artists for both art and business? Yeah, there should be. We have quite a few watercolor mentors, masters, and on the grid. Actually, stick around after this event because I'm going to show you how to use the grid to find a mentor. And I will look at for a watercolor artist who does art and business. How about that? Okay, let's do that. David, I'm so excited to be in your mentorship group. I am looking forward to learning from you. I was literally on a flight back to California from Florida during our first meeting, unfortunately,
Yeah.
but loved watching the recording. I can't
Right.
wait to learn more about color theory and the way in which you reverse engineer your paintings, so to speak. I so want to learn the rules so that I can break them. Yes.
Yeah, right. That's
awesome.
awesome.
Cool. And I'm sorry, I didn't get the name with the comment. All right, another one. How do you plan out a series of work? Meaning, if you already know how you want the paintings to look, like how do you go about planning a series with those finished works in mind? Do you sketch, then do color studies, procreate before painting so you can also physically see the final mock-up, or is it all in your head? This is a great question because we're doing a show together in July, and David, you hinted at having a process for putting together a body of work for a show, and I probably should learn a little bit about that. So
I gotta read that question. It's in the chat, right?
yeah, let me pull it up again.
Okay, I got it. How do you blah blah blah? Use sketching and color study. Procreate? No, I think that's something else. Or painting, so you can also physically see a final. Oh crap! Yeah, it's all in my head. So I'm lucky. I'm really lucky. I'm starting to realize that I can just I'm usually starting from a reference photo, right, from all my hikes and stuff. So I'll pick a bunch of reference photos, and I'll just like this collection that I just completed of the winter snow scenes. So that was a collection, a series, if you will. And so I went through my reference photos and I picked half a dozen painting photos, I mean. And then I decided how I wanted to put them together and what kind of changes I wanted to make to the composition, because the reference photos aren't always the way you want. You know, you got to move some trees around and whatnot. Yeah. So I did it all in my head, and then boom.
And then just did it.
Yeah, yeah. And most of the time, you know, I got to say, for shows, I don't usually do like themes, um, because galleries generally want a variety of stuff. Because if you were to do like, say, a theme like all waterfalls or something like that, then you know you're kind of narrowing your range of buyers too much, and so the galleries generally don't want you to do that. And so my winter collection series, they're not all going to the same place, right?
Oh, right.
That's just for me.
Yeah.
Like I decided I want to do a whole bunch of snow scenes because I was grooving on the snow thing. So that's what I did, but they're all going to different places, right?
Do you do that for also just better use of your time to do a bunch that are very similar?
Yeah, there's a bit of a time management thing in there for sure. And it's just kind of like fun for me to just focus in. A lot of the times I'm just working on single pieces here and there, but like oftentimes I do like to do series or collections like I did with the bisons last year. I did like 5 all at once or in a row. I was just having fun with it. So,
Yeah.
but again, like I wouldn't send them all to the same one gallery because, yeah. So
Right.
for our show, I am not thinking about theme. I'm thinking about variety of size and shape and cost price range, so that maximum sales, right?
Okay. Yeah, that was my next question was going to be, what are you planning for our show? So you're thinking more sizing and different subject matters, more about keeping it, the variety.
Yeah,
Uh,
variety of size and price point and theme and subject matter. Yeah.
cool. Now, something I'm trying to do, and I've never been successful at this, is I'm trying to do a body of work that's focused on light, and so I'm trying to stick to that. So this would be one of them where it's about being wrapped in light. So when something is backlit, how the light wraps around it, and the vibrancy, and how it kind of washes out the thing itself, and it becomes more about the light than it is about the thing you're looking at.
Well,
Yeah, so, and that could be in anything. It could be,
right.
there's still lots of different subject matters. So you can do themes that aren't so much about the subject, more about other aspects, but we'll see if I do it, because I'll probably change my mind. All right, let's see. And then David, just to clarify, when you're doing a painting and you've got a reference photo, you kind of sketch it out on your canvas, and that's about as far as you go for planning it out. It's not like you're doing sketches in a sketchbook or that sort of thing.
No, I don't do that anymore.
Okay.
I mean, that's all good practice when you're starting out and you're building your chops. But I've got to the point where I can just fly at it, and I don't have to do all the little mock-ups and little studies to make sure I'm gonna nail it, because I'm pretty good at nailing it. So
I love it. It's true. It's true.
it's just thousands of hours, right?
I know you've earned it.
Substitute for that.
Absolutely. It's funny. I still sketch, but I don't use reference photos. So I've got all these ideas in my head, and I have to put them down somewhere to see what I'm thinking.
I would totally do that if I was doing stuff from my head.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I was doing like your stuff is imaginary and coming out of your head, you're not using photos. So if I was doing that, then I would sketch it out first to decide how I wanted it to look, and then I would go to the painting for sure.
Okay.
Because to me that step is like almost necessary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Oh, right. So another question about galleries. I wondered about galleries. Do you bring your work for them to view? Do you need to have a web page displaying your work, etc.? Yes, you do need a website. But I think the days of bringing your artwork in are over.
Yes. That's a long time ago. Yeah. That was painful stuff, kids. You don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, you really need a website. I don't think anyone will take you seriously if you don't have one. And that's why it's one of our criteria for Mastrius art shows. Even if you're an aspiring artist, you need to have a website, even if it's just a one pager that has your name, bio, and some artwork.
All right.
Yeah, definitely. And that's how I got into, a few galleries, just showing them my website. Cool. Okay. I love painting nature, but am terrible using green. That's because green is so hard. Everything always looks dull. What is the best combination of green to use? You got this, David.
Sorry.
What's your favorite? How do you do green? What's your favorite combos to make your best greens?
Well, I think most most people struggle with greens because they coming straight out of the tube or whatever, they kind of end up looking unnatural if you're doing landscape stuff, or they look too garish, or if you're into, so, cobalt green or phthalo green or phthalo green, however you like to say it, they tend to look like, whoa. I never used do I ever use, I don't think so. My greens are often made without using green. So, yellow glazes over blue, or sometimes green over purple, or blue over orange, or whatever. So they end up being greenish that way. I like those greens because they're transparent and they're engaging and they draw you in. But I do use like cobalt greens and phthalo greens and stuff quite often in my paintings, but they're usually glazed on top of something, so that the underneath gives them that depth and richness or warmth or whatever it is I'm looking to temper it with. So that's a good way to put it. I temper my greens with glazes a lot.
Temper your greens with glazes. Okay.
Or make them with glazes. And don't even use green. Yeah.
Okay, I want to show something. So green.
That's helpful. It sounds kind of random when I hear myself say.
It sounds magical because that's the technique. It's when you put a color underneath and then you build color on top of it in layers and transparent layers, it becomes just such a wide variety of color that you get out of it. And that's why it looks so engaging, and so there's so much depth to it. It's because you're not mixing a color then putting it on the canvas.
Right.
Which is why you're getting dull colors or greens, is because you're probably over mixing. And I just want to show you, because green has been a struggle, and when I struggle with something, I decide I must master it, so I just dive in. The stubborn German in me. But here's the painting that's behind me, and I wanted to show it because one of my goals in this one is to nail the green, because green can be so boring because you just use the same one all over the place. But
right.
Green is really, really varied, right? You've got the really warm, bright greens right down to the cool turquoisey. My photo's not great, but I've got turquoise in here.
Yeah, no, looks good.
And then in the distance, of course, we're going to fade it out and cool it off. But yeah, the green is hard because there's so many variations of it. And then we're usually over mixing it, so we get kind of this dull, muddy green.
Yeah.
I would recommend taking David's course and learning how to do glazes and veils. It will bring so much good stuff to your painting. It'll break your brain a little bit, and then it will breathe life into your work.
Oh wow, that's great.
Yeah. It took me like 2 years to kind of figure out how to glaze and veil in my own way. I don't do it quite like you do, but it took a while.
Exactly, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Somebody says, David, any chance you would do a 1-day Zoom class on snow? I'm actually doing a 1-day live painting workshop on snow this Saturday, so you should come to Sun Peaks.
Oh, is it in person?
Yeah.
I would love to do that, David, but it's a long way from Nanaimo to Sun Peaks.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I actually considered it. I thought,
Oh, you did?
Yeah, because I saw your comment on.
Right.
Yeah, but any chance a 1-day Zoom?
Yeah, we can do that at Mastrius.
Talk to Julie.
Okay, that'd be awesome.
We'll work it out. You guys just need to let us know what you want. We can make it happen.
And I haven't been able to say no to her yet, so the odds are good.
That's right. Just let me know. I'll butter him up. Awesome. Okay, next up. When you use oils, how do you layer? Do you use straight color from the tube? Do you let them dry between glazes and veils?
Yeah, so the painting techniques that I use and that I teach are traditional high Renaissance Baroque oil painting techniques. And I painted in oils for years, and I still paint in oils. So yes, all of the techniques that I use can be done in oils. It's just that the drying times are a lot slower. That's the only difference.
Yeah, you must be very patient. All those layers.
No, I'm not. But so what I do is I have my drying rack for oils, and I have them all in there in the drying rack, and they're all in different stages of completion. Some are just beginning, some are halfway through, and whatever. So most of my oil paintings take somewhere between 4 and 7 sittings, give or take. So where I have to let things dry.
That's the patient part.
Well, then, so when I'm painting in oils, I'll just put my acrylics aside and I'll paint in oils for a couple of weeks or whatever it is, and I'll just pull out all my paintings, and yeah, it's super fun because I'm just blasting through all these different paintings in different stages, and I'm starting a new collection at the same time. It's cool. That's how, I mean, if you're painting in layers and oils, you gotta do the drying time thing.
Yeah.
And we would work fine. If I only painted in oils, I would just have a whole bunch of work on the go. And every month, a whole batch of them gets finished and a new batch gets started, and it's just a rhythm, right?
It's also
sorry to interrupt, Julie. It's the same process, only the rhythm is different.
Gotcha. Yeah. And just to add on, it's a really great thing to do is to work in batches and to have many projects on the go, because it really gets you out of your head. I used to have to finish a painting before I could do another painting, and now I absolutely can't. I have to have multiples.
No, is that right?
Yeah, and it's healthier, I think, because if you get frustrated or stuck, you don't want to keep working on something. You want to go move to something else and come back to it. But it's good.
Well, and different artists, like I know some really good artists that they can't do that. They start a painting, they have to finish it, because if they put it aside, then they lose their focus and they forget what they wanted to do and they lose the groove. So they was like, I got to finish it.
Okay. Well,
I'm not like that. Like, I'm more like you. I get hope. It's kind of like, if you see my laptop, I got lots of tabs open at the time. I have a problem with that.
Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, there's an exception for sure.
Yeah.
See what works for you. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Now, just be mindful of the time. We have a few minutes left. Again, I'm going to give away this t-shirt at the end, so stick around. And
we are wrapping up.
I know it goes fast, hey? We have 7 minutes left. And if you're not a member, stick around. I'm going to show you how to find a mentor, how to work with David or Mitchell or me. And I will give you a little tour, and then I'll give away a recording library membership, which is a gold mine. You'll want to have a chance to win that. Anyways, next question. It's about prints, but you don't do prints, right, David? No. And I do, and I'm just testing out someone for prints, so I can't give a recommendation quite yet. How many hours per day or per week do you paint? You're good.
It varies, but my productive time is early in the day. That's when I'm most productive and focused for my art. So anywhere between 7 and 4 is by late afternoon, I'm gearing down and I want to go do something else and probably go play tennis. That's my productive time. And so that's what most of my days look like for my painting stuff. Sometimes in the evening, I'll do some stuff, but it's generally not painting. It's focusing in on my next collection and sorting through reference photos or whatever. Yeah, varnishing, something like that. Yeah.
Do you work 5 days a week?
On average.
Okay.
But it's not like, I don't know, could be Sunday or Tuesday. I don't care what day it is, but yeah, I would say it's pretty much full time. Yeah.
Okay. And I used to be full-time and now I'm quite part-time. So I have Tuesdays and Thursdays where I've elbowed out some studio time, and then weekends and evenings I squeeze it in.
Yeah.
Depending
Yeah.
if it's a show.
Busy business going on there.
Yeah, it's good.
Great.
All good. And I think it works for me because when I was a full-time artist, I had a hard time. I got really bored again. Like I think I need a lot of variety in my life. So this works.
Yeah. It's balanced.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, full-time's not for everyone. Follow-up question regarding your planning. How do you decide to flip the realistic landscape colors into a more non-traditional color infused color palette? I have a ton of reference photos, but I'm trying to figure out how to push boundaries in color, but still keep it recognizable as a true landscape.
Oh, darn. I'm just gonna give you a totally useless random answer because I just use whatever colors I like. And I'm like, and like forever I didn't use purple because I didn't like purple for whatever reason. And now I use purple like a lot because I like purple, especially since I've discovered cobalt purple. And oh yeah. So then the mountain up there, there's lots of purple and turquoise just because I like purple and turquoise now. So I'm like plugging it into the paintings.
But you do things, you just don't remember that you're doing them right. Because if you look at that painting, all the colors in the background are cool and all the foreground colors are warm. So you have intention there. You don't want to lose your depth. And they're
Yeah.
all great colors, like way more vibrant than what might be in nature, but you're still following the rules.
Yeah, most of the time.
So you still have to learn the rules, folks.
Yeah, learn them so you can break them, the old adage. Yeah.
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 Another thing is, as long as your value composition, as long as your value composition is good and solid, you have a lot of freedom with color.
Great.
Yeah, so that's what I find. Value is key for me. I'm that's the most important thing because then I can really do whatever for color. But
I think most good artists will tell you that value is more important than color. If you get your values right, your color is just going to pop. But if your values suck, color's not going to fix your painting.
that's right.
That's what the tip you gave earlier was good. If you're not sure how well your painting's working, take a photograph of it and put it into one of those programs and take the color out. Just look at value and how well you're doing that way. And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's usually where the problem is. Yeah. And then you can do a bison that has turquoise and purple and yellow and orange because the value, it still looks like you put it in black and white, it just looks like a regular old bison, right? It doesn't change it. So we can do whatever with the colors. Let's see. Oh, 2 minutes. How many hours today we talked about it? Okay, so now because we have 2 minutes, I'll put you on the spot as I always do. Some encouragement for aspiring and emerging artists from a master who's a few decades in and nailing it.
Somewhat.
Some encouragement. Imagine that the room is full of artists who are struggling and want to be David Langevin but aren't there yet. What would you say to them? He's gonna kill me later.
Just keep painting. Or sculpting or whatever it is you're doing. And for me, I think one of the most important things I've learned, and this is going to be back to the very first one of the very first question you asked me, where I needed to know three things or three things. I think maybe my third thing would be momentum. Momentum is just huge in life and in art and in careers, and it's kind of like you got to push the ball uphill for a long time, and it's a lot of hard work. And then the momentum takes over, and the ball's rolling down the other side of the hill, and you're just like going along for the ride. But you kind of have to earn that with just lots of hours and focus and dedication, and the rest will take care of itself. Universe likes to reward discipline and focus and courage.
Mhm. Yeah, well said. That's awesome. Discipline is huge. Don't think you can only paint when you are feeling inspired. You can paint when you are not feeling inspired.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, you shouldn't be too attached to how you feel about things and how you're feeling. It's just like, just do it.
Yeah, it's in you. Absolutely. Very cool. Thank you, David. This is lovely.
Wait, I have one more thing to show you.
Oh, all right. Don't
Where
go
did I put it?
I have a t-shirt to give away too.
There he is.
Oh yeah. See?
There he is. No color.
No color. He's
It
perfect.
totally works.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't
It's
get
a
lost.
it's a good trick.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I wanted to show you.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Well, Mike, draw a name for that t-shirt, and thank you so much, David. I appreciate you on all the levels. You're awesome.
Thank
You're
you.
generous. Yeah, grateful for you in our community too. Lots
Thank
of
you, Julie. Thanks for doing this. Thanks everybody for stopping by and asking questions. I appreciate it. I think this is just a great platform, and I'll look forward to seeing some of you guys in my Mastrius program. And I think there's a couple of spots left, maybe 2 or 3 left in the next one coming up. So if you want to learn all about those principles that we've been yapping about, Mastering Light and Color, I think February 11th or whatever it is.
Yeah, I'll show it off here.
Yeah.
Afterwards. Yeah, a few spots in there. Cool.
Right on.
All right, you're welcome, folks. Thanks, David. You can log off whenever you like, and I'm going to stay on as promised. Nice to see
Okay.
you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, David.